Hello, welcome to my channel. If you're new around here, my name is Katie. I'm a full-time sketchbook artist, and today I've got another vlog to share with you. So we've got some fun things planned. I've got a lot to share with you. We're going to be doing my first artist day in a while, so it's been a good few months since I did one and a long time since I finished the Artist Way. So I finished that way back in the summer, and although I've been keeping up with my morning pages, I've definitely let the artist date part of it go by the wayside a little bit. So I'm going to make an effort. There's a really cool exhibition I really want to go to in Winchester, so I'll take you along there, and no doubt I'll do some studies and some art inspired by that. I've also got some art books to show you, so I'm trying not to buy too many art supplies. I'm saving myself for my trip to Japan, and then I've got some plans for the rest of the year, so I'll share that with you later on in the year. But I have been relocating myself by buying art books instead. That ties in with my plan in 2026 to do more master studies. So I'm really looking forward to sharing those with you. So we've got a mini art book haul, and yeah, it's going to be a fun few days. So let's start with Winchester and taking you along to this William Morris exhibition, and then we'll see what we create from there. Oh, there's someone there. I'm just gonna wait. Okay. I'm not even in public, and I don't like to have the camera out. But I've just got here, so I've just got a really good space as well, so I feel like that's a good sign. And as you see, it's blue skies. It's been really flooded and rainy this week, so that feels like a good sign. I've got a ticket for 10. It's just gone 9 now, so I'm going to take a very leisurely walk in by the river. And yeah, so I haven't even said about the exhibition. So it's an exhibition on the Morris family, so not just William Morris, it's also focused on May and Jane Morris. So I don't know much about them. Obviously I've heard of William Morris and I love his patterns. I really like Strawberry Thief, and obviously he's very famous for his arts and crafts movement. And I'm really intrigued by this exhibition, so I wanted to come because it's only on until next week, next Wednesday. It's been on for a few months, but I just found out about it, so I thought this would be really interesting to do, learn a lot more, because from what I've read, which as I said I don't know much, but I was looking last night and it's really interesting actually how Jane Morris was a very talented embroiderer herself, knew a lot about fabrics and helped design a lot for Morris & Co. and wasn't really credited. So there's a book that the curator has written, which I might get from the library. It sounds really interesting. But basically how, you know, they did a lot of work and they weren't ever credited for it because it wasn't, what did they say? It wasn't in the interest of commercial success. So obviously he took all the credit. So it's going to be interesting. I know that Jane Morris was a complicated character, definitely with Rossetti, her lover, later on. The only issue is I don't think I can film there, which is going to be a shame because I don't think I'll be able to show you any of it. But as you saw, I have packed, I've been so minimal today. I packed a tiny notebook. This is a Royal Talens. I'll put the size on screen because I'm so used to using the 13 by 21, and this one's much smaller. And also my Sailor Fude de Mannen pen. This is the pink one, so the nib, which is slightly less extreme. This is the 40-degree nib. So I was going to take notes as I go. I'm hoping there's like a gift shop where I can buy a postcard or something, so then I can do a study later. But I do want to take notes because I'm pretty sure I can't film in there, which is a shame. But I'll be able to show you a bit of Winchester as we walk in the sunshine. Hopefully it's supposed to rain this afternoon, but I should be gone by then. So yeah, it's going to be nice. I'm just going to take my time, try and enjoy this artist date. I think sometimes when it's a solo thing, I try and speed through it. And I haven't done an artist date, like I said, since last summer, so it's been a long time. And yeah, I'm just going to try and enjoy myself, not worry about the work I've got to do later, and just take the morning out, not rush it. And yeah, just enjoy the walk, hopefully have a good time at the exhibition, see what I can learn. I'm looking forward to doing a study on this afterwards, and I will show you and probably talk you through things. If I do get any shots or if I'm doing my study later, I'll talk you through it. at the car. It's very overcast now, so I feel like I've timed that really well. Obviously I've got really hot walking back, but I'm so glad I went. That was really, really lovely. I had a really nice time. As expected, there were no photography or videos allowed, which is a shame because there was so much in there I wanted to, you know, show you. But it was so cool to see it up close, to see some of the tapestries and some of the original illustrations. Incredible pattern work. I saw the Strawberry Thief up close as well. The indigo dye had really faded from when they'd had it at their house, at their manor. So that was a shame, but it's still really cool to see. And yeah, obviously all the motifs and all the pattern work, incredible work. Just gonna wait for the plane to fly over. I think one of the good things about obviously being an artist and not being able to take photos and videos is you can draw, and I also wrote quite a lot of notes. There was a lot of text there, which I found really fascinating. So yeah, it definitely documented a lot of like the Morris family's work, a lot of May, Jane and William, obviously lots and lots of William Morris stuff, so less heavy on the women, I would say. I mean, it's still really cool to see all the like attribution towards Jane and May. And obviously there's a lot, and William Morris, incredibly talented. I really liked learning about how he uses like the typography when he did Kelmscott Press and did all the fonts, layouts and the borders and stuff. So that really intrigued me because I didn't know much about the typography side and all the really intricate borders. Incredible work. They didn't have any leaflets or anything. There was nothing, I guess because it's like the end of the run. But yes, I did do some notes in here. So I've got this spread. I'm going to do a close-up so you can read it if you'd like, and a few little drawings. I obviously could get some images up. I'm sure there's a lot of this is online, but it was really nice to see in person and to just draw in front of it. It wasn't super busy. There was quite a few people around, but I didn't really mind just writing down my notes and stuff. So there were quite a few people wandering around checking that there was no photos or anything. So this was really, really helpful, and yeah, I'm glad I could document in that way. I obviously had to do it all standing up. It wasn't a massive room, but I spent 50 minutes in there just really slowly going around and drawing the bits that intrigued me. So yeah, not a huge amount, but definitely stuff that I can work on. So I might do a study in my other sketchbook, which I will do a time lapse of, and I'll share a few of my notes and things in the voiceover as you watch me do this study. But one other thing that I will just mention is I did buy something from the gift shop. They didn't have any like postcards for William Morris or anything like that, but I love this card. This is by Emily Sutton. I do know of her work, but I was really taken by this lovely little still life, so I bought it. I think cards like this is a really nice affordable way to collect art. So this one was £2.90, and yeah, I just really love it. If this is backwards, I will put a better close-up on screen because this is just in the car, but I really like that. So yeah, really lovely morning. So glad I took myself out on this little art date. And yeah, I will share some more of my notes and my findings from the exhibition in this following time lapse. So before I share some of my notes, I am just using my Faber-Castell Polychromos pencils, and I decided to do this in my Royal Talens sketchbook, mostly because it had the really nice ivory paper, and the Venezia sketchbook that I'm also currently working in just felt too stark. So I did swap in a few other colours. I did use the luminance, but I mostly picked the polychromos because they are slightly harder than the luminance, and I knew that I needed a lot of patience for this, and I wanted quite fine lines. I didn't want to have to keep sharpening my pencil. These are definitely stronger than the luminance, so I didn't wear them down as quickly. And yeah, I just got to work. So this is the wreath design by William Morris, and like I mentioned, I am going to share some of my notes in this voiceover whilst you watch this come to life on screen. So obviously William Morris's work is very nature heavy. Their whole family had a love of green spaces and gardens. Honeysuckle, strawberries, apples, willow boughs and roses are recurring themes. And the family responded to, I wrote this down from the exhibition, the blindness and hurry of modern mechanical society by studying green and growing things. And I love that. I am a nature-based artist, so it's really important for me to connect with nature and the landscape, so I really found a connection there. So William Morris questioned the role of technology. He was also very influenced by Persian and Turkish carpets and Gothic cathedrals and carvings, so very, very heavily inspired by the Middle Ages and influenced by them. So he was a very big advocate for making green spaces accessible for all, and he urged planners to prioritise abundant garden space in town. So he was very, very passionate about making green space accessible, and I did write this quote down as well. For surely there is no square mile on earth's inhabitable surface that is not beautiful in its own way, if we men will only abstain from willfully destroying its beauty. And I thought that was beautiful, and I surrounded those notes with some floral sketches. I really liked this curtain that was just couch stitches on woolen ground. Really loved the simplicity of that one. It was probably the simplest design in there, but I was really taken by that embroidery. As I mentioned, he also did Kelmscott Press, so I was really inspired by the fonts and the layouts that he also shared. And you can see in one of the quotes I did do a fancy A, and that was inspired, and I did take a study of that letter whilst in there, and it was just perfect for the quote I wanted to write. And that is, "Art will not grow and flourish, nay, it will not long exist, unless it is shared by all people." And so I want to leave that here. I did write a few more notes, but that one I think was really, really important. And it's also why I share my own artwork. It's why I want to create this community and have this connection with people online, because I do think it is important to share art and really encourage people to create themselves. So I'm going to leave this section here with that quote and these close-ups, and then we're going to move on to an art book haul. Okay, so here are the 3 books that are relatively recent purchases. I think within, some were end of December and then January. So this is linked to me wanting to do more master studies and, really understand artists' work. So I've got this one, which is a bit of an outlier, but very fun and nostalgic. So Jill Barklem, A Visit to Brambly Hedge, Winifred Nicholson, Liberation of Colour, and Joan Eardley, A Sense of Place. So let's start with the top one. And like I said, this is definitely from a place of nostalgia. I absolutely love the Brambly Hedge books. They're so charming, so very sweet. I'm sure you've heard of them. But this is the making of the world within the hedgerow. And it just has some lovely sketches in here. I'll do some close-up flip-throughs as well. But just look at this end paper. How stunning is that? Lots of lovely ink work, loads of movement. I really love Jill Barklem's work because it is traditional. And it just has that lovely feeling of thinking about my childhood, reading books, and I've always been enamoured by the art, so this book just felt like something I had to look at, especially as it was Animal Month, and I thought that would be fun to sort of tie in and do a study. I didn't get a chance to do that, but that doesn't mean I can't in the future. Look at this lovely map, so nice. There's a lot about the characters as well, so it's really nice to just learn more about them. This was always a favourite of mine with the cutaways of the trees, but I remember the Ice Palace particularly being the book that really wowed me. I love these sketches, lots of detail, the amount of information in her stories of having to work all this stuff out really blows me away. I'm so impressed with the scale and just the charm and the life that she captured within these scenes. So we've got the 4 seasons. There's some full illustrations, but also the sketches. I really love seeing sketches in all of people's work. I always find that their sketches says a lot about them as an artist. So anything that shares that sort of behind the scenes work, I love to see. So I really enjoy seeing the difference here between the sketch and the final. This one, I really love these little composition sketches, how you can go from that to that with the detail. So let's see, there was a spread in here. Here, the snowball. This one I always remember as a kid just being blown away and just staring at the illustration for hours. It's just so pretty and magical. So just a really lovely, charming book. If you did like Brambly Hedge, I really think it's lovely. There's a lot about how she works and also just more about the world and the characters of Brambly Hedge. And how it began as well, so quite a lot about her, which I didn't know anything about before this. This kind of spread just makes me so happy, so I'm really glad I got this. Look at this picture of her workspace. The colour palettes, all of the dried foliage, makes me very, very happy. So if you are also in love with Brambly Hedge, I really recommend this book. Next up, we've got Winifred Nicholson, Liberation of Colour. Now, some of these you might have spotted, this one and the next one, in my master study video, which I'll leave a link to up here. But I did do the master study of this cover image of the painting inside in that video as well, so you might have seen that there. I did do a quick flip through. But this is about Winifred Nicholson and her very gorgeous bright painting, so I don't know much about her work, but she does use a lot of colour and verges on the abstract in some areas. I just loved her florals, so pretty, and I really like how she uses a lot of neutrals and pops of purple, but then plays around with that and the movement paired with these like textures. For me, I think of her work as very textured and very evocative. So there's some really lovely stuff in here. I haven't done a proper read through yet, but I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, I'm just really looking forward to learning more about her. Like I said, I do want to do more deep dives into artists this year and really understand why they worked in that way. So not just copying their paintings, but also to learn about why they did that. So some really lovely paintings here. As you can see, some of the mark making is quite simplified, but then the compositions definitely aren't. And there's just so much texture and just a light in her work, especially. I feel like there's a lot of atmosphere. So we've got some more flowers, some portraits here. This chapter is the abstract view of colour, so I expect we'll talk a lot more about her colour use. Purple does feel like a constant in her work. I mean, it's not in every painting, but it's definitely kind of a theme. We've got some more urban scenes here. And then you go into this, which is totally different. So for me, that's quite inspiring. And some of her mark making is quite naive, which I always like. I love that stylization. A gorgeous coastal scene here. I'm looking forward to learning more about why she painted in this way. It's just a gorgeous book. I'm really looking forward to doing studies of this. Like I said, I've already done one, which is of the cover painting. Let me just find that. Oh, look at that one. That one's cool. Oh, that's really nice as well. I really like this one with the sky. So in February, we're doing skies over on Patreon. That's our theme. So that's a really nice example for that. Here it is. Here's the one that I did a study of over here. But yeah, I really love this with the blue. And yeah, it just feels like pattern's quite a big theme as well in her work. So that could be something that I explore. Loads of different ideas. So a really lovely book there. This one is by Joan Nicholson. So it's published by PWP. Oh, and Middlesbrough Institute of Modern Art. I didn't know that. So it's a UK publisher. And then the other one is Joan Eardley, A Sense of Place. Now, I really love her playful landscapes. Again, I don't know much about her, but I have seen her work before, and I've really liked how colourful and energetic it is. So for me, I'm always trying to get energy and movement in my work, and I feel like this one definitely inspires me in that way. So this one, as I said, it's called A Sense of Place. This is by Patrick Elliott with Anne Galasto. It's published by the National Galleries of Scotland. There's quite a few books on Joan Eardley. I'm sure there are Winifred Nicholson. And I was in 2 months between two. I did buy these second hand. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to learning more about her. And yeah, just doing deep dives. There's some portraits in here. Again, the use of colour and the mark making really is intriguing to me. So I think at the front, yeah, lots of children, lots of street work. So if I do more urban sketching, which I do plan to, I can take some inspiration from here. But I know towards the back there are some more rural landscapes when she was living up north. So Cataline, Coast Guard cottages, so really strong colour. A lot deeper and darker than I usually go. But I think, you know, picking work that you admire and wouldn't normally do yourself is something really important for us to learn from. So lots of red here with the night scene. Amazing atmosphere here. I love that texture in the sky again. Over here, yeah, just really interesting marks. This one I really like. I love that moon. That's really interesting. And then just so much texture and really thick paint. And then here, this is watercolour, I think. Yeah, watercolour and black ink. Just lots of movement. And like I said, I'm really drawn to work with that movement and texture as well, of course. This one I really like with the pops of blue. I don't know if it's helpful me sort of telling you what I'm intrigued by with this, because I know it can be a little bit daunting just looking at work and being like, oh, I don't know what I like. But sometimes it's helpful to just notice marks or colours or just feelings. This is the one from the front cover. So we've got those circles, this again with the mark making, and you still can tell this is a landscape, so this is harvest. I feel like you can tell that from the colours, but it's also very abstract, so if you squint your eyes, you know, it kind of merges into one. So something to explore there. So yeah, just some really interesting patterns and mark making here. I feel like that's what I kind of am drawn to. So I think this will be really interesting to study. So those are my 3 books, in case you wanted to see my mini art book haul. And now we're going to work on a very exciting project that I mentioned at the beginning of this vlog. So I know I mentioned an exciting project there, but I don't have it. Royal Mail are holding it hostage, but it is a project I'm really excited about. So I'm going to do a whole separate video on that. Hopefully it arrives next week. I'm looking outside as if the postman's there, he's not. But I am really excited to share that. So maybe it's a good thing it's going to be a standalone video. It's a group project with lots of different artists, so I'm really excited to take part and share the process with you. But that does mean it's the end of the vlog, so a huge thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed coming along to Winchester with me. I know I couldn't show you the exhibition, but hopefully the notes and things and my voiceover helped you understand a little bit more about what it was about, and you enjoyed seeing my study. I certainly didn't do it justice, that's for sure. It definitely was a lot more precise and detailed than what I usually do, but I did enjoy the process and I had a really good time on that artist date, so that's what it's all about. I also hope you enjoyed seeing my art books. I really am enjoying filming these vlogs and I do want to do more of them this year, so let me know what you think down below in the comments. A huge thank you to my patrons. Without them I wouldn't be able to make these 3 videos here on YouTube so regularly, and a big thank you for watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below and I hope you have a creative week ahead. I will see you next Sunday in my new YouTube video. See you later!